Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Please take a seat and welcome to this session, first session in the morning of the second day of the Jeddah Economic Forum. The session is devoted to energy and the environment. My name is Giacomo Luciani. I am the director of the Gulf Research Center Foundation in Geneva, and I have the task of moderating this session. Energy and the environment, these two terms come very closely together. In fact, in recent times, increasingly, our view of the future of energy has been determined, conditioned, influenced by environmental preoccupations. Preoccupations about climate change, about the future of the planet, that have created worries, misgivings, and views about the future of energy, which are sometimes conflicting. We have several scenarios about the future of energy, and there is a huge difference, a very remarkable discrepancy in between scenarios that are built on the assumption of continuation of recent trends, which normally lead to very high levels of consumption of fossil fuels, which are frequently considered to be incompatible with maintaining our current climate and the situation of the world as we know and we have experienced so far, and other scenarios which assume in various ways policies to mitigate climate change or resist climate change, and which lead to energy futures that are strikingly different. According to the International Energy Agency, even in scenarios in which there is a determined effort to contain climate change, the consumption of oil will increase in the next 20 years by at least 11 million barrels per day. So, in terms of the future of Saudi Arabia, as a major international oil producer, the International Energy Agency believes that this position should not be seriously endangered, even if we make a determined effort to contain climate change. But not everybody agrees. Not everybody agrees. OPEC has slightly different views, and therefore, clearly, for Saudi Arabia and the position of the kingdom in the global context, it is of prominent importance, foremost importance, to understand what the future will be of climate policies, what kind of agreement may or may not be reached to have global action to contain climate change. At the same time, the consumption of energy in the oil-producing countries, in Saudi Arabia, in the rest of the GCC, is rapidly increasing. So there is also concern about the level of domestic consumption and the future of energy in these countries. These countries, the kingdom and the other GCC countries, cannot be purely happy relying on fossil fuels. They increasingly feel the need to develop other sources of energy, and hence we will also discuss about the future of other sources of energy, such as solar, wind, and nuclear energy. Let me say in this context that we are very happy that GRC, together with other European institutions, has recently been given the task of establishing an EU GCC clean energy network. This is an important task that will take us busy for the next 3 years, and we hope to be able to establish a vibrant and very active network to promote clean energies and clean use of all sources of energies, including oil and gas. I will not say much more. What I had to say, I have written in one of the background papers. This is an opportunity for me to draw your attention to the background papers that we have prepared for the Jeddah Economic Forum for each session, there is a background paper which I hope will be interesting reading for you either before or after the sessions. We have a very distinguished panel this morning. Unfortunately, His Excellency, the Minister Al-Naimi, has not been able to join us this morning at the last minute. He has been taken by other duties. It's always a danger in these cases. But we are fortunate that we'll have in his place Mohamad Al-Sabban, who is well known as being, first of all, the senior economic advisor to the minister, and also the head of the Saudi delegation to climate change negotiations. Therefore, the man who is in charge with the kind of discussions that I have been referring to earlier. And we also have Mr. Abbas Al-Naki, an addition to the panel relative to what was in the program, and who is the Secretary General of the Organization of Arab Oil Producing Countries. And then we have, as expected, Dr. Adnan Shihab al-Din, who is a former acting Secretary General of OPEC and Director of Research of OPEC, and is a well-known expert on various forms of energy, including nuclear energy, and Mr. Daniel Nelson, who is today President of Nelson Insight Strategic Initiatives and has, in his background, a distinguished career in the kingdom. Without further ado, I will call on our first speaker, Mohamad Al-Sabban. The speakers are asked to speak for about 10, maximum 15 minutes, and we hope to have enough time to have a lively discussion. I'm sure that many of you will have questions and curiosities at the end of this panel. So, Mohamad Al-Sabban, as I mentioned, is the senior economic advisor to the Minister of Petroleum and head of the Saudi delegation to climate negotiations. He has made his name well known as one of the most active negotiators in the context of climate change negotiations. And as I told him jokingly, I find myself having to answer questions from my students at the Graduate Institute in Geneva, who ask me, why are the Saudis so much against defending our planet from climate change? Why do they take this position? So here we are. We can hear from Mohamad why is this position. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. First of all, thank you for the introduction. And I told Mr. Dr. Luciani that I'll be more than happy to visit his university and try to convince his student of the Saudi position. So I'm not sure that he will invite me. I didn't prepare slides since it was last-minute call for me to present something on energy and environment, but I will talk in general with regard to this issue of energy and environment. Let me start by saying that Saudi Arabia is well known for trying to achieve market stability. It has the huge reserve of 23% of the total world reserve, which is about 264 billion barrels. And also it produces about 8 million barrels per day right now,